All right, so you're thinking about heading down under
Australia.
Australia and landing a job with visa sponsorship.
Ambitious.
Ambitious, I like it.
Yeah.
And lucky for you, we've got some awesome intel from Cindib's immigration channel to help make that happen.
It's a smart move, you know? Australia is really looking for skilled workers from overseas to fill these, like, specific roles.
Right, so there's like a real demand.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
not just a couple of random openings here and there.
Yeah, so this isn't just about finding any job. This is about like potentially building a life down under.
Yeah, it's a good goal to have.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. We've got your treasure map right here.
First stop,
Yeah.
understanding why Australia is so attractive to job seekers in the first place, right?
Okay, so besides like the beaches and the whole Aussie lifestyle, which,
Yeah.
let's be honest, that's a huge draw.
Big one.
What else makes it stand out?
Well, they have a strong economy, competitive wages, but from a strategic standpoint, they actually have systems to make it easier for employers to sponsor people like you.
Oh, okay.
They recognize the value of international talent and have, like, literally created pathways to make this process work.
That's a good sign if you're looking for something more than just like a temp gig.
Right.
Our guide from Cindibs actually breaks down the whole process into really clear steps.
Okay.
The first one being a total time saver.
Yeah.
Figuring out which companies can even sponsor foreign workers in the first place.
Yeah, and you don't even have to guess.
Yeah.
The Australian government maintains a list, an official list of registered sponsors.
Okay.
It's on their Department of Home Affairs website.
Mm-hmm.
You can just search list of standard business sponsors Australia.
Okay.
And you can filter it by industry too. You can see who's actively hiring.
So you're saying skip the companies that aren't on that list, no matter how tempting the job might seem?
Yeah, I would say so, yeah.
Okay.
Focus your energy.
Yeah.
Now, once you've got a list of potential sponsors,
Yeah.
time to dive into the job portals.
You mean like Seek and Indeed, those guys?
Sure, those are great for a broad search, especially Indeed Australia.
Okay.
They have a strong international presence, so.
Gotcha.
But if you really want to refine your search,
Yeah.
think about specialized platforms too, you know? Like, for example, if you're in a creative field, a well-crafted Behance portfolio is going to be as important as your resume.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah. If not more so.
I like that, yeah. You mentioned LinkedIn earlier. How does that fit into the mix?
Yeah, that's your key to networking,
Mm-hmm.
which is really crucial in Australia. You know, you
I could
can
say.
connect directly with employers, join industry-specific groups. You know, you can get your profile in front of Australian recruiters.
Right.
Optimize it with keywords related to your field and the visa you're seeking. It'll make you stand out.
It's like tailoring your online presence to speak directly to Australian employers.
Exactly.
What about government resources? Are there any specific sites worth checking out? Yeah, so JobActive is the government's own platform.
All right.
It has tons of listings, but don't overlook niche agencies either.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Connect People, for example, specializes in placing international workers,
So many options. It's like having a whole toolbox for your job search.
it is.
You need to know how to use them, though.
Yeah.
Our guide mentions something about crafting an Australian CV.
Yes.
What is the deal with that?
Okay, so a CV that works in your home country
Right.
might not translate well in Australia.
Gotcha.
It's almost like learning a new language. You know, they
like
have
it.
specific expectations and nuances.
Give us the inside scoop. What makes an Aussie CV stand out?
Well, first and foremost, it's achievement focused.
Okay.
Instead of just listing your responsibilities, you really need to show what you accomplished in each role.
Okay.
Keep it concise,
All right.
2 to 3 pages max.
No rambling allowed.
No rambling,
Yeah.
no. Use Australian English, tailor it to each job description, and focus on those professional qualifications only.
Right.
No need to include personal details like your photo or marital status or anything like that.
Okay, so it's all business.
Yes.
I like that. Now, this next part is where things get really interesting. Applying directly to companies.
It can really pay off, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a proactive approach.
Mm-hmm.
When you're browsing job postings, keep an eye out for the ones that say 482 visa sponsorship available.
Okay.
That's the temporary skill shortage visa.
Mm-hmm.
It's a common pathway for skilled workers.
Okay, so how do you make that direct approach work in your favor?
Well, don't be afraid to reach out to hiring managers.
Okay.
You know, you can find them on LinkedIn or through company career pages.
But wouldn't that come off as too forward?
Not at all. Australian business culture is actually very open to direct communication.
Oh, okay.
A well-crafted message, expressing your interest, your skills, mentioning the specific visa you're seeking, that can really set you apart.
Okay, and this is where a compelling cover letter comes in.
Exactly.
So it's not just about attaching your CV and hitting send.
No, no, no.
Okay.
Your cover letter needs to explain why you're the perfect fit for the role
Right.
and why you deserve sponsorship.
Yeah.
It's your chance to tell your story and show your enthusiasm for working in Australia.
Right. This all sounds great, but what if you're feeling, a bit lost or overwhelmed?
Yeah.
Our guide from Syndibs mentioned something about the power of connecting with other migrants.
Yeah, it's really valuable to learn from those who've already gone through this process.
Yeah.
Syndibs actually runs a networking group
Okay.
specifically for people seeking sponsored jobs in Australia.
Nice.
It can be, a gold mine for personalized advice,
Right.
visa help, and even potential employer connections.
It's like having a built-in support system.
It is.
Okay, let's be real. Getting sponsored right off the bat
Right.
might not always be possible.
It's true.
What are some alternative routes to gaining a foothold in Australia?
Well, have you considered the working holiday visa?
Isn't that more for like backpackers and short-term adventures?
It can be, yeah. But it's also a strategic way for young professionals to gain experience in Australia.
Okay.
If you're under 30
Mm-hmm.
or 35 for some nationalities,
Right.
you can work and travel for up to a year.
Nice.
It's a great way to build your network and get a feel for the job market.
So you're saying even a temporary visa can open doors to longer-term opportunities?
Exactly. The experience you gain can make you a stronger candidate for sponsorship later on.
Okay.
And there are other options too, like the student visa,
Mm-hmm.
which allows you to study A&D work part-time.
Right.
It can open doors later down the line too.
That sounds like a good option for people who want to pursue like further education while gaining experience.
Yeah.
Bit of Australia.
And then there's the employer-sponsored temporary visa, the 482, allows companies to sponsor skilled workers for up to 4 years.
Okay, so even if you don't land a permanent gig right away,
Right.
there are ways to build towards that.
Absolutely. It's about having a plan and exploring all the options.
Yeah, I like it.
You got this.
All right, well, we've covered a lot of ground already.
We have.
We talked about finding sponsoring companies,
Yeah.
crafting that killer Aussie CV,
Mm-hmm.
and even some alternative visa pathways.
Yeah, good stuff.
Good stuff. But there's more to come. Stay tuned for part 2 of our deep dive, where we'll unpack even more strategies and insights to help you land that dream job in Australia.
I'll see you there.
All right, we've covered a lot of ground already.
We have.
We talked about finding sponsoring companies,
Mm-hmm.
crafting that killer Aussie CV,
Yep.
and even some alternative visa pathways.
Yeah, good stuff.
Good stuff. But let's get specific about these visas,
Okay.
because they can feel like a bit of a maze, to be honest.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay, so we keep hearing about the 482 visa, the temporary skill shortage visa. It seems like that's the golden ticket for a lot of skilled workers.
It is a very common one,
Yeah.
and for good reason.
Yeah.
It lets you work in Australia for up to 4 years
Yeah?
for a sponsoring employer, of course.
Right.
And here's the kicker. It can sometimes lead to permanent residency
Oh.
down the
okay.
road.
So it's a potential stepping stone to making Australia your home base.
Exactly.
But is it really that straightforward?
Well-
I've heard that transitioning from a temporary visa to permanent residency can be tricky.
It's not always easy, you're right.
Okay.
It depends on a lot of factors, like your occupation, your employer's willingness to nominate you,
Right.
and, meeting various criteria set by the government.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a possibility worth exploring.
So it's not a guarantee, but it's a pathway.
Yeah,
What about the 186 visa, the employer nomination scheme visa?
right.
That one sounds like it's more geared towards permanent residency from the get-go.
That's correct, yeah. The 186 visa is designed for skilled workers who have a job offer from an approved Australian employer,
Okay.
and it grants you permanent residency right away.
Wow, that sounds pretty incredible.
This is a good one.
But I'm guessing the requirements are stricter.
Yeah, there are definitely more hoops to jump through.
Yeah.
You typically need at least 3 years of relevant work experience,
Okay.
a positive skills assessment,
Mm-hmm.
and of course that all-important nomination from your employer.
Okay, so you can't just waltz in fresh out of uni and expect to get a 186 visa.
Not quite, no.
Right.
It's more for those who've established themselves in their careers a little bit more
Gotcha.
and can demonstrate a solid track record.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Let's switch gears for a second. What about people who are highly skilled
Okay,
but don't have a job offer lined up yet?
Sure.
Is there a visa option for them?
absolutely. The Skilled Independent Visa, or 189 visa, is a points-based system that doesn't require employer sponsorship.
So no need to stress about finding a company to sponsor you right away.
That's right, yeah.
Okay.
You earn points based on things like your age,
Okay.
work experience, English language skills,
Yeah.
education,
Mm-hmm.
and if you score enough points, you get an invitation to apply for permanent residency.
It sounds like a great option for independent, highly skilled individuals
It is.
who want the flexibility to choose where they live and work in Australia.
Exactly. It's all about demonstrating that you have the skills and experience to contribute to the Australian economy.
Right. Okay. I like that.
Yeah.
Now, I want to go back to the skills assessment you mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Can you break that down for our listeners?
Sure.
What exactly does it involve?
So a skills assessment is basically an evaluation of your qualifications and work experience
Okay.
to determine if they meet Australian standards for your occupation.
Okay.
It's usually conducted by an assessing authority
Mm-hmm.
designated by the government.
So it's like proving that your skills are legit and transferable to the Australian context.
Yes, precisely.
The specific requirements vary depending on your occupation, right?
They do, yeah.
But generally, you'll need to provide things like your educational transcripts, employment references,
Mhm.
and details of your work experience.
Right, and you can find more information about skills assessments on the Australian government's website.
Okay, so it's not something to be intimidated by.
No, not at all.
But it's definitely a step you need to be aware of.
Yeah, for sure.
Now let's talk about the working holiday visa.
Okay.
We touched on this earlier,
Hmm.
but I want to dig a bit deeper.
Right.
You mentioned it's for people under 30,
Or 35 for some nationalities.
right, depending on your nationality.
It's the subclass 417 or 462.
Okay.
And it's a fantastic opportunity for young people to experience Australia,
Yeah.
work in a variety of casual jobs,
Mm-hmm.
and potentially make some money to support their travels.
It sounds like an incredible adventure, but is it really a viable pathway to a long-term career in Australia?
Well, while it's primarily designed for short-term work and travel,
Right.
it can be a stepping stone.
Okay.
The key is to be strategic.
Yeah.
If you can gain experience in your field,
Right.
build your network,
Mm-hmm.
and potentially secure a job offer from an employer willing to sponsor you,
Okay.
it can absolutely open doors.
So it's not just about sipping cocktails on the beach.
Well, a little bit of that is allowed, of course.
Of course, why not?
But the smart move is to use this time to build your future,
I see.
network, volunteer, take on challenging roles,
Mm-hmm.
and really immerse yourself in the Australian work culture.
I love that advice.
Yeah.
Now, what about the student visa?
Okay.
It sounds like another pathway that combines learning and work experience.
Absolutely. If you're considering studying in Australia,
Mm.
the student visa subclass 500
Right.
allows you to work part-time while you're enrolled in a course.
So you can earn some income.
Yep.
Gain valuable work experience, and potentially make connections that could lead to future job opportunities.
Exactly. And for some students, this part-time work experience can even lead to a full-time job offer and sponsorship after they graduate.
Oh, wow. So it's like a win-win situation.
It is.
You get an education and a potential career path all rolled into one.
Exactly.
We've discussed a lot of different visas today.
A lot of options.
It's a lot to take in.
It is.
What's the best way for someone listening to figure out which visa is the right fit for them?
The best advice I can give is to do your research.
Mm-hmm.
The Australian Department of Home Affairs website is a great resource.
Okay.
They have a comprehensive visa finder tool that helps you figure out your eligibility
Nice.
based on your individual circumstances.
So no more guessing games or relying on hearsay.
Right.
Go straight to the source.
Exactly. And remember, immigration laws and visa requirements can change.
Oh, right. Good point.
So it's crucial to stay updated
Yeah,
with the latest information.
good point. Now, let's shift gears a bit and talk about some common mistakes people make when applying for sponsored jobs in Australia.
Okay.
What are some red flags that you see?
One of the biggest mistakes I see is not tailoring your application to the Australian context.
Gotcha.
Your CV and cover letter need to speak directly to the specific job requirements
Okay.
and demonstrate how your skills and experience align with Australian standards.
So don't just recycle your old application materials and hope for the best.
Definitely not, no.
Okay.
You need to do your homework,
Mm-hmm.
research the company thoroughly,
Right.
Understand their culture and values.
It's like going on a first date. You wouldn't show up without doing a little research on the person you're meeting.
Exactly.
Right.
And another common mistake is neglecting your online presence.
Okay.
Make sure your LinkedIn profile is up to date,
Right.
professional, and tailored to the Australian job market.
Okay, so your LinkedIn profile is like your digital first impression.
It is.
Yeah.
Got it. And when it comes to the interview process,
Okay.
preparation is key.
Right.
Practice your answers to common interview questions.
Yeah.
Be prepared to discuss your skills and experience in detail. And most importantly, show your enthusiasm for living and working in Australia.
So it's not just about proving your competence, it's about conveying your passion as well.
Absolutely. Employers want to see that you're genuinely excited about the opportunity
Yeah.
and committed to making the move.
So let your personality shine through,
Yeah.
but also be mindful of cultural differences.
That's a great point, yeah. Do your research on Australian workplace etiquette and communication styles to make sure you're putting your best foot forward.
Right, and remember, even if you don't land the first job you interview for,
Right.
don't give up.
Absolutely.
Persistence and resilience are key in any job search,
Yeah.
especially when it involves international relocation.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Exactly.
Keep learning, keep networking, and keep refining your approach.
Now, before we wrap up this part of our deep dive,
Okay.
I want to touch on something you mentioned earlier, compliance.
Right.
It sounds like there's a lot of responsibility on both the employer and the employee when it comes to visa sponsorship.
You're right. It's a two-way street.
Yeah.
Employers need to adhere to strict regulations
Okay.
set by the Australian government,
Mm.
and employees need to understand their visa conditions and obligations.
So it's not just about finding a company that's willing to sponsor you.
Right.
It's about making sure they're doing things by the book.
Yeah.
And you're holding up your end of the bargain as well.
Exactly.
This all might seem daunting,
Yeah.
but I'm guessing there are resources to help people navigate these complexities.
Absolutely. The Department of Home Affairs website has a wealth of information
Okay.
on employer and employee obligations, as well as guidance on maintaining visa compliance.
Okay.
And if you're ever in doubt,
Yeah.
it's always a good idea to seek professional advice from a registered migration agent.
Right, they're the experts after all.
Exactly.
Well, we've covered a ton of ground in this part of our deep dive.
You have.
From visa specifics to common mistakes and the importance of compliance, we've delved into some crucial aspects of this journey.
For sure.
But there's still more to come.
There is.
Stay tuned for our final part where we'll unveil some insider tips and strategies to give you that extra edge in securing your dream job in Australia.
We'll see you there.
All right, we're back
We are.
for the final leg of our deep dive
That's right.
into scoring that sponsored job in Australia.
The good stuff.
Yes, we've talked visas,
Yep.
job hunting strategies, even potential pitfalls.
Right.
Now let's get to the secret weapons.
The insider intel.
Yeah, give us those extra tips to make your application stand out from the crowd.
Okay, well, we talked about networking.
Yeah.
But let's go a level deeper.
Okay.
It's not just about showing up at events.
Right.
It's about being strategic and building genuine connections.
So how do we do that?
Well, start by identifying key people in your target industry.
Okay.
Hiring managers, decision makers,
Right.
thought leaders. Use LinkedIn to connect with them.
Okay.
But don't just send a generic request.
Right.
Personalize it. Mention something specific
Okay.
that resonated with you from their profile or their work.
So you're saying do your research
Yeah,
and show them you're not just spamming everyone in sight.
exactly.
Okay.
Engage with their content, share relevant articles, and contribute meaningfully to the conversation.
Right.
Once you've established some rapport,
Okay.
don't be shy about suggesting a virtual coffee chat
Okay.
or an informational interview.
So it's not just about asking for a job.
Right.
It's about building a relationship and learning from their experience.
Exactly.
Okay, what else can we do to stand out?
Think about building a strong online portfolio.
Okay.
This is especially important for creative roles. Designers, writers, photographers, anyone whose work can be showcased visually.
Makes sense. A picture's worth 1,000 words.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Make sure your portfolio is easy to navigate, highlights your best projects,
Right.
and includes testimonials from past clients or employers.
So it's not just about talent.
Right.
It's about having proof that others recognize your talent.
Exactly.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
What about something a little more unexpected?
Okay.
Our guide mentioned volunteer work.
Oh, yeah.
How does that fit into the picture?
Volunteering is a fantastic way to
Right.
demonstrate your commitment to your new community, gain experience,
Yeah.
and potentially make connections.
So it's not just about ticking a box on your application.
No.
It's about showing that you're like proactive.
Get engaged. Exactly. It can be especially helpful if you're new to Australia
Right.
and want to build up your local experience and references.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Let's talk about cover letters. I think a lot of people dread writing them.
Yeah, they can be tough.
Any tips for making yours stand out?
Well, first and foremost,
Mm-hmm.
tailor it to each specific job you apply for.
Okay.
No generic templates.
All right.
Address the hiring manager by name.
Okay.
Highlight relevant skills and experiences,
Mm-hmm.
and explain why you're genuinely interested in that particular company and role.
So it's about showing them you've done your research.
Yeah,
And you're not just mass applying to every opening you see.
exactly. And here's a pro tip.
Okay.
Whenever possible, quantify your achievements.
Right.
Instead of saying, I improved customer satisfaction,
Yeah.
say, I increased customer satisfaction by 15% within 6 months.
Ooh, I like that.
Numbers are powerful.
Yeah, they are.
They give your claims more weight and demonstrate the impact you've made
Right.
in previous roles.
Okay, speaking of making yourself more marketable,
Yeah.
what about professional development?
Staying current with your skills is crucial, especially in a competitive job market like Australia's.
Mm-hmm.
Look into online courses, industry conferences,
Right.
or certifications that align with your career goals and the demands of your target industry.
So it's not just about what you know now.
Right.
It's about showing that you're committed to like continuous learning
Yeah,
and improvement.
exactly.
Okay, I like it. And while we're on the topic of preparation,
Okay.
let's not forget about practicing those interview skills.
Oh yes, interviews.
I think everyone gets nervous about those.
It's natural to feel some nerves, but practice makes perfect.
Yeah.
Record yourself answering common interview questions.
Okay.
Get feedback from friends, or even consider mock interviews with a career coach.
So it's like rehearsing for a play.
It is.
The more you practice, the more confident you'll feel on the
Exactly.
big day.
And remember, even if you don't land the first job you interview for,
Right.
each interview is a learning experience.
Okay.
Reflect on what went well, what you could improve,
Mm-hmm.
and use that feedback to refine your approach.
It's about turning those like quote unquote failures into opportunities for growth.
Exactly.
I like that.
Yeah.
Now, before we wrap up,
Okay.
I want to emphasize 2 key ingredients for success in this journey.
Right.
Patience
Yes.
and perseverance.
Absolutely.
This isn't a sprint.
No.
It's a marathon.
Finding a sponsored job in Australia takes time and effort.
Right.
Don't get discouraged by rejections or delays.
Yeah.
Keep learning, keep networking, and keep putting yourself out there.
It's about having a positive mindset
Yeah,
and believing in yourself even when things get tough.
exactly. And remember, you don't have to do this alone.
Right.
There are organizations like Syndim's Immigration Channel
Hmm.
that offer guidance, support, and a sense of community
Yeah.
to those navigating this process.
It's like having a cheering squad in your corner. It is.
Rooting for your success.
We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive.
And hopefully, you're feeling more informed and empowered to take on this challenge.
Yeah, so if there's one key takeaway for our listener,
Okay.
what would it be?
With the right strategy, a willingness to put in the effort, and a healthy dose of determination, landing a sponsored job in Australia is absolutely within your reach.
It's time to turn those dreams into reality. Start by researching potential sponsors, polishing your CV, and reaching out to people in your field.
Remember, Australia is actively seeking skilled workers from around the world.
Yes.
Your talent and expertise are valuable, so don't underestimate yourself.
And who knows, a year from now, you might be celebrating your new life down under
You might be.
with a great job and a bright future ahead.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Best of luck with your job search. We're cheering you on.